I just felt like the story was so like marinated and nice, and it was just like, you know, it's gonna be a good ending, and then it ends and I'm like, oh, it was kind of bland. I loved those 200 pages. Like, I was just like, yes, this is beautiful. Yes, oh my gosh, yes, I see it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. Been really loving being a bookworm. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura if you're new, and today we're gonna go over everything that I've read so far. So in a video I posted like in April, I read a whole book cover to cover in a day, and that kind of ignited back my love for reading. It's given me so much good self-care that I didn't really realize that I really needed. Basically, these are all the books that I've gone through since then, and it's about 6 books in about like 6 weeks. So this is everything that I've read in May and everything like I read like at the end of April. Let's get started. Let's start with like chronological, is that a word? Start with chronological order, and I'll link the video that I read this book in. Before I get started, I'm not gonna say any spoilers. I'm just gonna say the books that I've read and just a very small sort of synopsis with no spoilers and what I rate it. I'm also gonna have my Goodreads account linked below if you want to follow me on Goodreads and just keep track of everything that I'm reading and everything that I've read so far. Yes, let's get started. This book that started it all by Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? Such a good book. Definitely would say, like, if you wanted to read a book in a day, this is a nice book. It's spicy in some parts, and I really enjoyed it. Basically follows different characters' perspectives, and I really like it. It's like I believe it's two girls. Yes. They're like writing emails to one another, and then it follows one girl's perspective and the other girl's perspective, and it's been 6 weeks. So what are their names? Alice and Eileen, and the men are Felix and Simon. I love books that are like, the setting is in the UK. I really go for those kinds of books, and Sally Rooney is like a UK writer. I'm going to start reading Normal People and Conversation with Friends. That's my next book that I'm going to start reading. I would give this book like a 4.5 stars just because it really captivated me. It was really easy to get through. I liked the complicity, like the very flawed characters. I really like characters that aren't perfect, characters that, you know, are just people. And she does a really good job in creating these characters. The ending, sometimes I feel like as a reader I get kind of thrown off by endings, or like, oh, I wish it didn't end that way. Oh, I wish it was this way instead. And I feel like when a book ends, I don't think anybody really wants it to like end. They do, and we don't sometimes. And this book was one of those where I just like, I felt like I wanted just a little bit more, probably. I think it was probably a good ending point. It was okay. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but yes, Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? It's a good 4.5 stars for me. Go check it out if you like it. So after I finished that book, I started reading multiple books at the same time. Basically, I have a book that I'm still reading. I read when I like brush my teeth. That one's like a two pages at a time sort of thing. Almost done with that one, but that one's not here yet. I have one that I read at work at lunch, and that's just a really nice mental break. And then I have another one that I read in the morning and at nighttime, or especially when I get home, I read it in the bath. This next book was one that I read when I got home from work. It's by Jojo Moyes. It's The Last Letter from Your Lover, and it's also a movie on Netflix. And this book was so nice. It was like, I love period like romances. And this one was a bit of both. It was like current times, and it was past, you know, 40s, 50s time. A good chunk of it was just in the period of like 1940 40 something. I just really like that time period where, like, you know, it's just, I don't know, classy. And it's about this lady. It starts off with her, like, kind of her memories like not there. She's just trying to remember her old life. There's a few male characters, like her husband, and then there's another character that is her lover. This is like very it's like PG-13. There's like maybe one part. It's not like super, yeah, there's one spicy part, but I don't know. It's a book doesn't have to be spicy in order for it to be good. It's just so romantic because her and this guy, her lover, how they meet and how they start their correspondence, and it goes from different, what am I trying to say? I really liked the timeline switches on this book from when she's like trying to remember like everything to back when she had her memory and she had this lover and how that came to be. This book kind of captivated me in the sense that like I just wanted to know what was happening. After I read this book, I watched the movie, and the movie was good. I liked, you know, how everything was like set and how everything looked. It was really nice, but it was a little different, and that's okay. Especially the current character, the journalist that finds the letter, that wants to write about their story. I liked her character more in the book than in the movie. That's just my preference. In the movie, it's just like, yeah, like her character is just kind of flat, but like in the book, it's so well-rounded. You kind of know why she is the way she is, why she feels the way about love, and how hesitant she is, and she's really kind of relatable in that sense. And I really liked this book. I had it on my shelf for a while. I love Jojo Moyes. I love Me Before You and After You. I loved those books from her, so this book gets, I would probably just say like 4 stars. Yeah, I think the ending for me in this case, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I just, from my perspective, some people would probably be like, oh, I love the ending, it's really great. For me, I was just like, I think maybe the author probably wanted to just wrap things up. You know, stories, they're so juicy, and they're like, oh, I just felt like the story was so like marinated and nice, and it was just like, you know, it's gonna be a good ending, and then it ends and I'm like, oh, it was kind of bland, you know? Kind of built up a lot, and then it kind of like, okay. It was still really good and entertaining, and I really liked it. I like characters, I guess, that lose their memory. I don't know what that is, because there's another book a character lost her memory. I guess that's the thing. Amnesia trope. I will read it. Anyway, go check out this book if it seems like something you'd fancy. I would recommend this book for sure. So during lunch at work, I feel like I'm trying to read like a classic during that time, and then like when I get home, I read something that's just a bit more pleasurable. During work, I decided to read a Salinger, Franny and Zoe. It's just this little book. It's like 200 like pages maybe. One of my favorite movies on Netflix is Carrie Pilby, and this is her favorite book. I really wanted to know what it was about. I read Catcher in the Rye. There's something about his writing in that time period that just like dialogue pops. And for me, I love a good movie with really good dialogue. I love a good play with good dialogue. The way characters talk, like I don't necessarily want them to talk like how I'm talking. I want them to talk like, I don't know, like wise and wistful, and I want them to have lines that just like punch. And this one, yeah, it has that. These characters are going through it. These two characters are brother and sister, and they're kind of been raised in this, not a strange family, but just like out of an ordinary family. Like their family was kind of broadcasted on the radio. They had like a bunch of siblings, and they kind of were raised by their older siblings, and I wouldn't say like they were homeschooled, but like their education was definitely like not like the norm. They're kind of very talented and brilliant, and I think they kind of had a bit of a midlife crisis like fairly young because they grew up kind of quickly. I felt so so sad. Like I related a lot to that, but I think I related a lot to that, like, you know, in my early 20s, like they're in college and they kind of just don't know what in the world they're gonna do, and they felt like this, like, I think they just felt like so much pressure. Definitely I felt like the author really captured that. They captured the essence of a collegiate student having a panic attack. Yeah, they had panic attacks in the 50s too. So when was this written? It was like in the 60s, I want to say. 1955. Yeah, I would give it probably four stars, just because, you know, it is a classic. It's not something that like you can breeze through this fine, but you kind of have to. I think because the weight of the things that they're saying are kind of tough mentally, it wasn't as easy to just breeze through. I really like wanted it to sink in and really grasp what the characters were going through. Like there's topics of like philosophy and religion and like the meaning of life, you know. It's tough subjects that, like, you know, aren't like, well, the guy and the girl end up together, I don't know. And I like that about Salinger. I like that about Catcher in the Rye. I like characters that are basically just going through their own, like, what is life crisis. I liked it. Franny and Zoe, can't go wrong with the classic. My next book of leisure is a Leanne Morty, What Alice Forgot. This one, I couldn't put it down. It was so great. I couldn't wait to get home and jump in the bath and just start reading this book because I love the character of Alice. I don't know, it reminded me of the movie I Feel Pretty with Amy. Oh, she's a comedian. She's blonde, she's a comedian, Amy Schuster. I'll put the picture of the movie right here. She kind of like has like a little crisis, like when she's like on the bike. And then she, like, I don't know, falls off the bike or she gets a concussion or whatnot, and then she wakes up and she's just like, oh, I'm like beautiful, oh my gosh, like look at me. It's kind of like what happened to Alice, except she ends up just losing 10 years of her memory, and instead of like almost turning 40, she's like, I'm 29, and she thinks she's pregnant with her first child, and she's just kind of lost. As a human being, we just change so much, and like 10 years we do so much changing. I'm not the same person I was when I was 21. To think if I lost all my memories and I was just like, I woke up and I was a 21-year-old, like that would be crazy. I love how we slowly figure out what happened to Alice and what's going on in her present day life. She's just like, am I still with Nick? She like couldn't wait to see her husband, and then like she gives him a call and he's yelling at her and she's so upset, and he's like, why would he ever yell at me? Like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then she couldn't remember like the kids that she had. Basically, it's just like an unfolding of her life and how she became who she is, and her 29-year-old self isn't very happy with her 39-year-old self. Like, she just couldn't believe that like that's who she's become. I love books that have different perspectives of different characters, but also different forums of us figuring out their perspectives. So we have Alice's perspective, and then we have her sister who is writing entries to her therapist, and we have that to read to figure out what's going on with her sister. And then we have letters that her grandma is writing to her old lover, and again with letters and lovers and people losing their memory. I love that, so I'm gonna eat that up. I like reading books with that kind of format. Yeah. This book, I want to say, I just couldn't put it down. It was so captivating, and I love the characters, and I love how, I have to say the ending is probably one of my favorite endings, yeah, that I've read so far. Like this one, no complaints, no complaints. Leanne Mority can write a book that gets you, hooks you, captivates you. I love The Husband's Secret. I still have to read Big Little Lies and Truly Madly Guilty. I still have those on my to-read list, but she's one of my faves. 5 stars? I don't know. Can you give out 5 stars? Like 4.75 stars. Yeah. This one's good. This one I just finished yesterday. It is The Mountain Between Us by Charles Martin. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting. I know it's a movie and I've never seen the movie. Once I finished that Leanne Mority book, this became my leisure read after work, and it captivated me. It hooked me. Even though it's not something that I usually go for, I thought like maybe it was like, I don't know what I thought. I didn't really read the back because it is survivalist. It is suspenseful and it is kind of stressful. And I was leaving work and coming home, getting in the nice relaxing bath and reading about this. I was down, like it's good. His character Ben Payne and this girl Ashley, she's a writer, he's like a surgeon, and he's coming back from a conference. They're trying to get out, but there's a huge snowstorm, so the planes are like, you know, canceled. So he was like, I'm gonna find a charter plane, and there was room for one more, and basically it goes wonderfully wrong, and then a story happens and they end up on a mountain together trying to survive. I just didn't think that I was gonna like this book that much, but I was very interested. My family watches Naked and Afraid, and I just kept thinking like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. Thank the Lord he does. How in the world, and how lucky it was that he had all the things that he did, because he loves to hike, so he had a bunch of like gear with him. These characters are strangers that met, and then they learned to try to survive in the snowy wilderness, and like the whole time you're just like, are they gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? I'm not gonna give you any spoilers. She's like, she has this guy at home. They're supposed to get married like in 2 days, so she was flying back to like her wedding. That didn't happen, so she's just like, oh yeah, it would have been this day on my honeymoon if nothing bad happened. He's going through it with his wife. His wife and him are separated, and she's this journalist trying to get all this like info out of him. We're just like, come on Ben, let us know what's going on. And he's just this like little clamshell, won't tell her nothing. It goes from like his perspective to him talking into a recorder, and so you get to like just hear his like stream of consciousness as he's talking to the recorder, and like that's how he communicates with his wife. They like pass each other recorders. Before we had voice notes, I guess there's recorders, and that's what they would do. He has his recorder, and he's just explaining everything that's going on, and like his inner thoughts and emotions on how he feels about everything. And I really like books with that kind of format, where it's not just one point of view. You get more out of the character. I think we get a little bit more empathy for the characters too. I couldn't put it down, you know. I can't believe like I've gone through like 6 books in like 6 weeks, and I'm really happy with the books that I've read so far. And this one I give like 4 stars. The ending, like I said, I'm not gonna see any spoilers. How many times have I said that? I don't think I wanted it to end. He won't open up about this really big thing that he's just like holding in, and we don't find out until kind of closer to the end. So when you find out that big piece of information, I think as a reader you just kind of feel like, well, I want more of that. I want more of that. That should have happened probably, you know, with 100 pages to go, and we didn't get that. It just happened, and then we had to like understand that and breathe through that, and then like it, I don't know, I guess I wanted a little bit more. But I don't think that's what the author wanted. I think the author wanted us to find that out and then kind of feel that and know that the character has been feeling like that for XYZ amount of time. I'm gonna edit this and I'm gonna hope I don't spoil anything because I hate that. I really liked this book, could not put it down. Yeah, it's like a thick book, but I think I might have gotten like big print, or maybe that's just how it printed, because you know some books have really, calendar is just tiny print, and this I think it was like good for my eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, there's so much space. All right, this next book is my lunch book. I don't know if I should include it yet because I have like this much more to go. I'm so close to finishing it. I have like, I'm on page 405 and it's like 479. So yeah, I have like 70 more pages. This book heavy. Like I wanted to include it because I'm probably gonna finish it tonight, but I have to. It's heavy. It's okay. It's Atonement by Ian McEwan. I've seen the movie. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's great. I love the book. The book goes into so much detail and like you can see the perspectives. It's like a scene, like one scene, but then like it goes over like this character's perspective of that scene and that person's like perspective of that scene and the other, there's like three characters perspective on this one scene. It kind of does that like throughout multiple scenes in the beginning. So like a good like 200 pages was just of like one night, and I loved those 200 pages. Like I was just like, yes, this is beautiful. Yes, oh my gosh, yes, I see it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. And then it goes into like part 2 and it's one character's perspective, but it's like war times. And I am not a Saving Private Ryan lover. I am not a All Quiet on the Western Front person. 1912 was a great film, loved it, but fuck, like war is brutal, man. It's fucking brutal, and I'm just not somebody that would read that for funsies. I mean, look at the cover. I mean, look at him. He's like in war. I want to be over here though. I want to be right here. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. I made it through the war part, but now I'm in another character's perspective. Franny, she's the nurse now, and it's gory. I'm like reading this in the bath and I'm like, I think I'm gonna puke in the bath. But I just want to finish it. I wonder if I'll cry. I kind of cry during the movie. I like reading books that, you know, have been adapted into film. I like enjoying them as two separate things. I don't like comparing. If anything, I feel like the movie kind of just like made the imagery just even sharper in my mind. I'm not finished with this one yet. I will rate it on my Goodreads when I'm all done, so you can check that out and see what I think. But so far so good. I'm not enjoying the war part, not enjoying the gruesome, gory facts. I just keep thinking of like that part in Gone with the Wind when Scarlett O'Hara is just like, I'm tired of war, I'm tired of this, I want to go home, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to go home. Not a fan of amputations, blood and guts. Blech. Oh, thank you. He does a really good job at describing that gruesomeness. It's very, very harsh. I'm going from a day where it was so beautiful and so romantic and so lush and florally and sun's out and summer and it's beautiful, to a place that's very dark and very cold and circumstances that are just kind of dire. That contrast is really strikes you as a reader. That kind of parallel is probably what he wanted. I haven't finished yet. I have 70 more pages to go, but pretty much done. Ian McEwan, you're doing good things so far. I can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, and that is everything that I have read so far. 6 books in about 6 weeks. Yeah, been really loving being a bookworm. Next, I'm gonna read Dune. I've gotten through like, you know, 50-75 pages of Dune and then I just stopped, but I think that's what I'm gonna read during lunch after I'm done with Atonement. And then I'm gonna read Normal People by Sally Rooney for leisure. Can't wait to get into those. After Dune, I want to read Lord of the Rings, finally. I want to get into that trilogy. Yeah, I want to try to like stick with like a classic and then like something cute and fluffy and nice. I like to have a good balance, have a good option, switch it up a bit. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. We're so close to 150 subscribers. I really want to do a giveaway. I'm going to probably go to the store this week and get like a little package. Probably get you some tea. I'll probably get you like a nice book, maybe a candle, something just cozy, just like a Miss Laura Elizabeth care package. What encompasses my lifestyle and aesthetic. Tea and book and cozy candles and maybe a mug. Maybe I'll go to TJ Maxx and get you a mug, because can't go wrong with a mug. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.